next company deserves a bit of a story behind its creation. Bryce Bradley, the CEO of the company, is a longtime friend of mine. We were sitting at PDAC at the top of the market with another friend of ours and wondering, why don't we just start our own company? Everybody else does it, why can't we? It can't be that hard. So we did a CPC. I thought it was just a silly conversation over a few cocktails. Next thing I know, I'm writing checks, signing a bunch of stuff, and I'm on the board of directors of a junior exploration company, just in time to watch the market fall out beneath us. So we sat around for years looking for good projects, and then a couple of years ago, we actually found one in all places, Fiji. It turns out that Anglo had drilled a couple of discoveries there, two separate zinc copper discoveries in the 1970s. And not only were they high quality VMS discoveries with a number of holes in each of them, but they were high grade zinc and copper. And they just lay fallow there for almost 40 years, nobody doing much work on them. So we managed to do a deal on those properties, then went through about a year to 18 months of just hell, I guess, trying to actually get the properties. The vendor had a big mess on the ground, never paid his taxes, didn't have clear title and everything else. So we ended up just this past year clearing all that up, and now are in very good relations with the government. They're excited about us going forward. We have the properties in hand, and only now we're beginning to go back and expand on Anglo's discoveries. So I'll let, if I didn't steal all the thunder from Thunderstruck, I will introduce Bryce Bradley here to fill you in on the details. I'm sorry I was on a roll.
Yeah, really. Thanks, Brian. What else can I say now at this point? So we just go up like this. Which way is it? Oh, that one. Got it. Right, so as Brian was saying, we had vetted over 100 different projects prior to landing on these, and our mandate was simply just to choose favorable commodities in a jurisdiction, and a favorable jurisdiction in a project that could potentially be a mine, where we saw some prospectivity. But not only did we get one asset with this package, we ended up getting 4, all of them with their own unique qualities. There are 2 high-grade zinc copper VMS assets with average grades of approximately 7%, 2% copper. As Brian had mentioned, they'd been drilled by Anglo. Anglo had spent almost $10 million on these assets. We picked them up after a lot of wrangling with the vendor, as he was mentioning. Those were dark days, but because of the vendor's offside behavior, we worked with the government. We picked up not only those 2 assets, but another 2 assets for less than 10% of what the vendor had been asking for. So although those were very, very dark times, it was a real win for us. One of the questions that we had after we bought them, or after we had signed the deal, we really needed to get to know where they were because they were in Fiji, and I had a very steep learning curve to figure out exactly where Fiji is and why I'd never heard of mining being associated with Fiji before, only tourism in the past. As you can see here, Fiji is on the Pacific Ring of Fire. It's still far. It's very remote. It's around 5-hour flight from Brisbane, Australia, and approximately 2 hours from Auckland, New Zealand. But it is, it's on the Ring of Fire, which is a hotbed of seismic activity, hosting something like 90% of the world's volcanic activity, and approximately 75% of the world's gold and copper mines. And Fiji's down there at the bottom, as you can not really see, but it's there. But one of the bonuses of it being so remote is that it's one of the last underexplored countries in the entire world. Due to its remoteness, it's only recently gotten the infrastructure necessary to host exploration and mining. And when I say that, I mean it's been approximately 75 years since they've joined the mining game. The assets that we picked up, you can see here, there's mineable widths of 12% zinc and like 2% copper. And we have retained all of the data from Anglo. We have some of the drill core. And we've spent the last few years also trying to get ready to launch for 2018. We were hoping it'd be 2016, but whatever. It's 2018. We're ready to go now. We, as of last week, have amassed 40 years plus of data from Anglo, Behringer, and others who've worked on our assets and digitized it for potential joint venture partners on one or more of the assets going forward. As you can see here, in the last 75 years, Fiji now has a deep water port very close to our assets. It has roads throughout the island, the main island, and a hydroelectric dam. Fiji is extremely pro-mining. It's been mining for 75 years. There's a gold mine to the north of ours. I've been to it. It's mined out approximately 8 million ounces of gold so far. There's another 4 million to go. There's very low sovereign and political and social risks. And there's several mines in various stages of development on our island. So anyone who is uncomfortable with Fiji as a location, you can see there's everything from grassroots right through to production right on our island. Ours is the yellow in the center. Over to the right of ours is Namosi copper porphyry, owned by Newcrest. It's in development. This was owned by Anglo back in the late 70s. They were working on our assets. They dropped our assets because they made that discovery 20 kilometers from ours. I've been to the camp. They're in development. They're about to build a tailings pond. We have a copper porphyry, as I said, within 20 kilometers from theirs, and it is actually closer to the new deep water port that they're building specifically for theirs. So we are a natural partner for them. Obviously, we're in talks with them, and in the latter part of 2017, we were able to squeeze in a very short program that you can find out on our press releases if you go to our website. We squeezed in a very short program on that copper porphyry, and we were very excited and lucky that we made, I'm not allowed to call it a discovery. What word am I allowed to use, Brian? It's a very strong gold anomaly, let's call it that. And we're waiting for the results to come back. I was hoping upon hope that we would get them before this conference, because this conference marks the first real conference where we're launching the company full steam ahead. Our data room has now been digitized with the 40 years of data as of last week, so we can entertain joint venture partners for the program starting in April. Our drilling season is April to December. So this is a very good entry point for any of you to try to pick up some shares on Monday. You can probably get them for under 10 cents. Our market cap is, I don't know what, I think it's 4 million or 4 million Canadian, and as I said, just Anglo alone spent over 10 million on our assets. I don't have a lot of time. I won't go through every single asset, but this is one of our VMS, zinc copper assets. We have also recently, in the last month, added to our board. We've strengthened our board technically. We've added Linnea von Hessert and Lawrence Ralston, two geologists. You may know Lawrence. He's from Vancouver and was a former newsletter writer. He's been following us for a while, and he's been to Fiji. We also are lucky to have Morgan Poliquin, who runs Almadex and Almaden as an advisor, he had done his master's in Fiji on that Vatakula gold mine to the north that I was mentioning, and he loves the mineralogy. He's also very comfortable with the country. So we have strengthened our team technically because Brian and I are not technical. I'm an investment banker, and he is him. But what else to say? So Rama Creek and Liwa, Rama is the copper gold porphyry I was telling you about. I say copper gold because we've certainly just made an interesting discovery through trenching around this copper porphyry. Liwa is high-grade gold. It needs a lot of love, and we have to get back in there again. Our country manager, if I can, I have 2 minutes. Our country manager is named Bill Brook. he used to own that gold asset back in the 80s, and he only dropped it. Again, no one dropped our assets because they weren't good. They only dropped them because they found something better right on the island. So when he had owned ours, he dropped the assets because he discovered a gold mine, well, it's now in development, called Lion One Metals. It trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange. He discovered the Tavatu mine. I don't know if I have it on here. No, I don't. The Tavatu gold asset up to the left there, Tavatu, is almost 800,000 ounces of gold. So he left ours and went and developed that. He was overjoyed that we had found and picked up the assets again and asked to be our country manager. And he's been invaluable for us. What else did I want to say? I think that's just about it. Oh no, we have 43 million shares outstanding. We don't want to dilute much further. Obviously we're going to have to raise a bit of equity, probably around PDAC, but we're looking more towards joint venture partners now. And we have all of the permits in place with the government, the Fijian government. This is one of the torturous things we've been doing over the last couple of years. We have title for all 4 assets, and our country manager has undertaken the extremely arduous task of getting land compensation agreements with every single chief and every single village. They're very strict there. There are 3-year land compensation agreements that you must get signed by the chief and 66% of every villager, even if they no longer live in the village. And he undertook that task successfully. That's all been done as of last fall, and that's sort of the quiet stuff that's in the background that you don't get a lot of love for, but it's absolutely critical for trying to work on the land. We will be hiring all of the locals as well. Since they're very mining friendly, a lot of their grandparents worked with Anglo back in the day, so they've been pulling out photos to show us. I think that's just about it. I have 20 seconds. Any questions? I'll be over there later. No? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.